welcome to the GritFlow channel. In today's video I want to show you guys how to time travel to your desired reality, how to quantum leap through the quantum field into your desired reality. Let me know if you guys like the drawings in the comments. That is supposed to be a plane, by the way. Let me know what you think. So, in understanding the quantum field, okay, when you observe reality, okay, so when you observe reality, you are looking at atoms, right? You're looking at all these miniature little atoms, okay, and these make up waves, right, of what you can see. Now, the atoms are seen with the eye, right? So they're literally seen with your human eye, and that is then how you observe reality, okay? So how you look at things in reality, right? So I can look at my room across from the setup that I'm at currently. I can look out the window at the trees. You guys can look at this video, you can look at your phone. That is how you are observing with reality, is with your eye, okay? So this is how you observe reality. Now, when you observe reality, right, you are collapsing things into matter, okay? So the atoms that you can see that are vibrating ever so slightly, that we can't actually see with the eye, but they make up things, okay? They make up the pen that I'm holding, right? Okay, there's atoms that are vibrating ever so slightly that are making up this pen, same with the phone that you're holding, okay? So when we observe reality, we collapse it into matter, okay? So we are collapsing things into matter so we can make sense of it, okay? Now, when we don't have an observation of reality, right, as in we cannot see with the human eye, there's what would be called an infinite field of possibility, right? Because, for example, if you walked into a dark room and you cannot see a thing, right? What is the probability that the room's empty? What's the probability that there's two people in a bed? What's the probability that there's a guitar hanging on the wall? Do you understand what I'm saying? So there's an infinite field of probabilities, right? When we can't physically see something yet again with our eyes, okay? Now I want to touch on another point on how you observe reality. So how you observe reality is your perception, right? The perception is super important because what we perceive, our perception, is based on what results we get in our life. So what our reality actually is, right? So what reality we get / the results, right? So these things are all directly linked. Now when I say perception, your perception is made up of the beliefs that you hold. Now your beliefs are made up of two things, okay? The thoughts that you have and the emotion, right? These two need to be incoherent with each other. So they need to be like related to each other for it to be a belief. Now your beliefs, okay? What shapes your identity is your beliefs. So over here we can write identity. This is absolutely perfect because this all links up together. Now, what are your beliefs? Where are your beliefs stored? They're stored in the subconscious mind. Now I want to talk a little bit about the law of gender here, okay? One of the Hermetic principles. Now, I don't want to go too deep into things because I could be sitting here all day, but I just want to really highlight that the law of gender is massive here because the thought part is masculine, Okay, this part over here where you're thinking and the thought part is the masculine part of things. Now the emotion is the feminine part. Okay, that's the feminine energy, right? The emotion is the feminine energy and the thought is the masculine. What does a thought and emotion turn into? Okay, through these beliefs, right? They always turn into feelings. So what you're actually feeling on a daily basis, right? And if we go back to the subconscious over here, these feelings is the language of the subconscious. So feelings, the emotion, what you are feeling internally, your state, is the language of the subconscious mind. It's the language of the quantum field, okay? Feelings. Perfect. Now if we just talk a bit about a couple of examples in here, okay, just to make things a little bit easier. So, your perception is based off of the beliefs you have, okay? Your identity is shaped through the beliefs you have. So the type of person that you believe that you are is shaped up of the beliefs that you have. Do you believe you are confident? Do you believe you are weak? Do you believe that you are high energy? Do you believe you are someone who can achieve X? Okay, so your identity, who you are and what you can achieve is based off of your beliefs, okay? And you will perceive things based on your beliefs. So when the beliefs you hold make up your identity, and when your beliefs are subconscious, then what are we really trying to reprogram here to make things easier? We're trying to reprogram the subconscious mind so this can all become completely a seamless thing. Do you know what I mean? So we can have our identity being at the pinnacle of who and what we want to be, so we can start perceiving things on a level that is in alignment with our beliefs. But we need to target this thing, okay? So we need to be creating thoughts, okay, that are going to manipulate the subconscious mind into aligning with the reality that we want, so we can start taking action more easy. If you believe you're confident, you're going to walk into a room with your head held high. If you believe you're a successful man, a successful woman, you're going to take actionable steps that align with that, okay? But we can only do this when this starts to get reprogrammed, okay? And when our emotions are felt enough to drive us towards this thing, okay? Because the language of the subconscious mind is emotions and feeling, which is the feminine energy from the law of gender. Now if we just jump back into the principle of gender for a second, I want to draw a prism. Okay, now I'm sure you guys have seen this with some band related thing where they have the prism and a bit of light goes in and they've got all this rainbow. I can't really remember the band. I'm sure somebody will let me know in the comments. So if we draw this prism, okay, and we look at like energy coming in here, and we look at the light coming in here, the energy you could call it, and then we look at this part, right, where all the colours were, and we go bam, 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 right? If we look right here, right, in this side of the prism, right, now, this part of the energy here represents God, okay? The oneness, the all, okay? Like from the Hermetic principles again, it's to the law of mentalism, everything is in the mind, everything is one, the all. So we've got the all, we've got oneness. Now this part of the prism represents the subconscious mind. So this is the subconscious mind down here, okay? Subconscious mind. And this part that you can see over here is the conscious external world, right? So what, yet again, like previously, what you can see with the eye, the external world, the conscious external world. With God, the all, oneness, we have a law, right, called the law of one. The law of one. So the law of one suggests that everything is one. Everything is connected by the divine, by the God, by the all, by the oneness. Okay? So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I posted a video on the lungs, the bronchioles of the lungs and the trees, and how they're an identical match, right? So that's an example of the law of one. Everything is connected, everything is actually one. So as I mentioned down here with the subconscious mind, this part of the prism represents the subconscious mind. So you've got God and allness coming into this part. This is your subconscious mind down here, and over here is what the conscious external world. This is what you can see, this is what gets produced. Now the subconscious mind makes up 95% of the mind. 95% of your thoughts, feelings and actions are all subconscious, right? So down here, this can be conceptualized as multiple different things, like the subconscious mind, your vibration, creation, like receptivity, multiple different things, right? And the subconscious mind is completely irrational, right? So I want to write that over here as well. It's completely irrational. Like, it does not discriminate between anything. So you can say something out loud and it will genuinely believe you. The subconscious mind will genuinely believe you. Like, it takes everything very, very literally, the subconscious mind. That's why you need to watch what you say. Like, if you're out in the street, or I say you're out in the street and you look at somebody and they maybe look a bit funny, they don't dress like you, they don't dress like your friends or any of your family, and you point them out to your friend or a family and you say, yeah, they're a bit ugly, or they're dressed a bit funny, or what you're doing to your subconscious mind is, because of the law of one, you're technically talking to yourself. So you're like, oh, look at that ugly person. Your mind thinks you're talking about you, because the subconscious mind is receptive to everything. So whatever you say out loud, whether it's, oh, I'm knackered, oh, he's this, oh, she's that, your mind literally thinks that you are discussing things about you, okay? Because of the law of one, because of the all. So it's fertile, right? So the subconscious mind is fertile. Hence why now, to go over to the conscious external world, right? The conscious external, the conscious being the masculine, okay? Yeah, again, the conscious being the masculine, the subconscious being, let me write that in different colours actually for you, right? Nice wee rubber there with a finger. So the conscious mind is the masculine part of the mind, again. And the subconscious being the feminine, okay? Now the masculine controls things like your will, like the willpower. It controls things like your logic, your structure and organisation, right? So we'll just put structure. That says structure, by the way. And the masculine, the conscious part of your mind, like I said before, with using your thoughts, using your conscious mind, right? The masculine part of the mind gives instructions to the feminine part of the mind, right? Now you need to realise that the feminine part of the mind, the subconscious part of the mind, is fertile. It's like soil, right? It's fertile. Hence why we need the masculine, the conscious, right, to plant seed into the subconscious mind. It works just like in real life. The masculine plants seed into the feminine to create, and you do that by using your will, by using your willpower, by using your conscious thought. Okay? Now, the conscious reality is just an illusion anyway. Like, what we see is just a complete and utter illusion. It's actually 0.0035% of reality that we see. That is what we see with our eye, is 0.0035% of reality. So it's a complete illusion. Like, it's a complete illusion. Wait, can you see sound? Can you see a frequency? Can you see energy? No, but can you feel it? Yes, you can. Can you hear it? Yes, you can. Okay, so it's a complete fallacy. It's a complete an illusion, right? It's separation, okay? Because it's not real. It's separation from what's actually real. It's a minute thing. If I told you you've got 0.0035% of becoming a millionaire, would you be happy about that? Or would you be like, that's nothing at all? Okay, you understanding my point here? So the feminine energy is always penetrated by the masculine inside of us in order to create things, right? It's super important that you understand that. And like I mentioned, right, we've got will over here. You need to use your will to plant seeds. You need to use your will, your conscious part of your mind, to plant seeds. Consciously thinking, I can do this. I am this. I already have X. I already feel like the guy who has X. It feels Y. Now, like I was mentioning before about using your will and your conscious mind to plant seeds within the subconscious mind so you can start operating like the person in your desired reality, okay? You need to get very clear on that identity. So who actually is it that you want to be? What things do you want to have? So think about the things that you have when you're in your desired reality, of course. So the things that you have. Okay, so what things do you have? Do you have peace? Do you have materialistic things? What emotions do you have? Okay. Now, how do they act and behave? How do they act and behave? What things are you doing on a daily basis? What behaviours are you doing? What is it that you actually do? So what are you doing? How are you operating? Okay? Who are you around? Who are you around? What's your friend group like? Is it different from the one that you're in now? If you're in your desired reality and you don't see yourself being friends with the people you're around, then you guys know what to do. I don't even need to tell you what to do, okay? How do you look as well? That's a big one. That's a big one for myself. As in terms of just how I was dressed. This is an example I can use from last year. I used to dress in like tracksuits and just typical casual wear, and I never really looked presentable. I never really looked smart. The minute I tapped into my desired reality and I looked forward into the future, I knew I'd be dressing very smartly. Trousers, nice shoes, potentially sometimes a shirt or a plain t-shirt with a nice overshirt over it, always smelling really nice, always groomed well. The minute I started tapping into that, people were asking me, Matty, where are you going, mate? And I went, nowhere, buddy, I'm going to the gym. Do you understand? So feeling like that guy, embodying that person, how are you acting, how are you behaving, how are you feeling, okay? Now, what's the vision / mission of the person in your desired reality as well? So what's your vision? What's your vision / mission? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to achieve? Right? Now, all of these things, right? I want you to create a clear mental picture of what's going on. It has to be clear as day. Think about it. So what we're doing here is we're creating a mental picture of our identity. Because then your identity reprograms your RAS, right? Which is your reticular activating system. Now I will get into that in the next slide. One thing I want to add to the last slide is when you take action, right? So when you use your will to take action, when you use will you are reprogramming your mind to align with your identity, right? And as I mentioned before, your identity is linked to your RAS, which is your reticular activating system. Now, the reticular activating system filters reality based on what you deem to be true. So when it's looking at reality, your RAS is here. If I believe lots of girls really, really like me, I'm going to look at girls and I'm going to notice any bit of eye contact that I get with them. If I believe that opportunities flow to me abundantly all the time, my RAS is going to notice many, many, many opportunities. And it can also work in the opposite effect. So your RAS can be filtering reality based on what you deem to be true, but it can be in a negative way if your beliefs aren't in the correct space, if your identity isn't in the incorrect alignment. Do you understand? So if you hold beliefs of being shy, if you hold a belief that there isn't much opportunities in the world, guess what this is going to filter out? Any opportunities that you could have. If you believe money's hard to make, guess what your RAS is going to filter? No opportunities to make money for yourself. So it all starts with the thoughts, the identity, taking action to reprogram your reticular activating system so you can filter reality based on being in your desired reality. Now I want to talk about the conscious / the will, right? I've said this to a lot of people in the past week. Where you direct your energy, right? So let's just write energy here. Where you direct your energy, it grows, right? So where your focus goes, energy flows, right? So when you direct your energy to something, it just grows. If I pump energy into a mains and a light, what's going to happen? It's just going to grow, it's going to blow, it's going to get brighter, right? And when that happens, reality forms. When you let something grow from the energy, reality starts forming, right? So I put my energy into, I look like the leanest, I am in the leanest shape that I've ever been in my life, right? My energy goes to me being lean. My energy goes to me being healthier. So what happens? I start taking actions that align with that reality. So my reality starts forming. Okay? Now, you've got your conscious, right? You've got two types of conscious, right? You've got your internal will. So what goes on in the inside, feelings, thoughts, all the rest of it. And you've got your external will. So, like actions, etc. Both the internal will and the external will, like we spoke about on the last slide, these both reprogram your RAS. Now, if you really took in what I was saying, you'll understand how important it is to actually reprogram your RAS, because things don't become forced. You don't have to do this thing. You're not doing this thing. You are being this thing because you're reprogramming your subconscious mind and you're reprogramming your reticular activating system to filter opportunities for yourself. And it's not a conscious decision. It's something that happens without you even realizing. So with the internal will, I didn't have much space to write out everything I wanted to write out. So internal will, one of the most powerful things that you can do is meditation. Now, I'm going to give you my personal meditation protocol that I've been doing. So first of all, sit in silence. Second of all, I want you to connect to your body and limbs while you're in the meditation, okay? Connect to body / limbs. So just think about a body part. What I tend to do is I tend to sit cross-legged as soon as I get up in the morning, and I just literally touch my 2 fingertips like this because it gives me a little sensation that I can focus on, okay? And what I'll do as well is I'll use my breath just to connect further into my body. So I'm using my breath. Focus nasal breathing through the nose, nasal breathe, nice and easy. And at any time, right, thoughts are going to come in, like that's just normal. Thoughts are going to come in, but what I want you to do is when a thought comes in, refocus your energy back to being the observer, back to being present, bring it back to the body. That's what I do, I bring it back to this little point. I start thinking about things, I start thinking about ideas, bang. Sometimes I even just give myself a wee, okay, bring it back, a little anchor, a little physical tap, okay? So when a thought comes in, refocus energy. Refocus energy. I want you to refocus your energy into being the observer. So just relaxing. You are not your thoughts, you are just the observer. So let them pile in if that's what they're doing. Being the observer. The observer is within presence. Now guess what the presence is? The presence, the observer, it's the female energy again. I like that law of gender stuff. Female energy. Okay? Now, what this technique does is this allows you to then redirect your energy to your desired reality or what you want during the day. So your vision. Okay? That is super, super important. So you're sitting in silence, you're connecting to your body and limbs, you're using your breath, a thought comes in, you're refocusing your energy back to being present, you're maybe doing yourself a wee anchor, something, a physical anchor, okay? This technique, doing this every morning, do this for 7 days, and you will realise that when a bad thought comes in, when a negative thought comes in, when a thought that comes in that doesn't serve you, that doesn't push you towards your desired reality, you will realise that you are able to quickly transmute one feeling and from a thought into another thought and a feeling very, very quickly, just by using this. Okay, so what I want you to do is when this comes in, gratitude. Gratitude. Okay, it's the highest frequency that you can possibly be in, is the feeling of gratitude. So the feeling of having already, right? When a thought comes in, you refocus energy. Now extrapolate that to actual midday as well, not just the meditation. So the midday, gratitude. The feeling of having. If any thought comes in, any doubt creeps in, whatever it may be, think gratitude. What are you happy for? What have you got that maybe someone else doesn't have, in a non-vanity way? Do you understand? Like in a way that you are just super grateful. Like, wow, I can't believe I've got water coming at my tap. I've got X amount of food in my fridge. I can breathe through both of my nostrils at the moment. Do you know what I mean? You get that way when you're ill and you can't breathe through one nose. That's one thing I'm grateful for every day. Like, I'm not ill. I can breathe through both of my nostrils right now. And I'm not kidding. I'm genuinely super grateful for that. So the gratitude, the feeling of already having, right? Now what I mean by already having is, think about how you would feel if you already had everything in your desired reality. How would you feel? Use your conscious mind and will. How would it feel to have the thing already? Choose to feel that way. Now if we go to external actions, just want to make it extremely clear. Nothing can be manifested without action, guys, alright? Like, you're not going to sit in your bed and do any type of method and you're not going to get a certain amount of check through the door. Oh, now you're a millionaire because you've been the luckiest person in the world. That's not happening. Like, you need to take action. Like, you need to take external action. You need to move the body. You need to be taking action, right? So nothing can come from no action. Zero action. Action is the facilitator of manifestation, of course. It has to happen. You have to be taking action. Confidence comes from the actions you take. Okay? So confidence literally just comes from what you do behind a closed door. Some of you will know exactly what I'm talking about here. We might have actors watching, we might have business owners that have practiced their techniques behind a closed door, we might have footballers on here, I don't really know who's watching, but you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about. What you do behind a closed door, when you're going over to the park to do football training on your own, when you're fighting in the cage, doing your shadow boxing, maybe when you're rehearsing a speech, what you're doing behind a closed door, that is where confidence is built, because you know that nobody can take that away from you. You know you're doing exactly what you should be doing behind a closed door, and that is where confidence is formed. Now I want to make a couple more points. Limiting beliefs. And I'm sure you guys have heard of limiting beliefs, okay? One thing I find really that helped me is what you resist persists. Okay? Resist persists. Now I'm pretty sure all of you can relate to that. There's things you guys have probably pushed down for a long time, or you've chose to ignore. But these things will always come back up. It's almost like a roulette table, do you know what I mean? You can put the ball here and you can flick it round, but it has to come back round at some point. But it could be 1 year, 2 year, could be 2 months. That ball's coming back round, and that's persistent because you are resistant, right? Now you need to work with the parts of yourself that you don't want to see, right? And that's called shadow work. Working with the parts of yourself that you really don't want to see, right? Because it's in the darkness, really. Like, it's in the shadow, it's in the darkness. There's bits of myself, there's bits of yourself that you know of, but you're just not really wanting to address them, right? Now, for example, it could be that you're afraid of success. Are you afraid of the person that you might become when you're successful and you're making multiple 5 figures a month? Are you afraid of how people will judge you? Are you afraid of how your family might treat you? What are you afraid of? Now, can you actually hold space for the feelings of that without judgment? Not every single thought we're going to have is going to be completely blossomful and happy. We're going to have some truths that are within our shadow work that we need to complete that we don't really like. But it's important that we can hold space for these emotions without judgment. If you are afraid of success, that's fine. But you need to own up to it and you need to understand it. When you hold emotion without judgment, you are communicating it's safe for your nervous system to feel that way because you're simply reprogramming it with love. You are reprogramming your nervous system with love when you hold emotions without judgment for yourself. Because most people feel an emotion like being afraid of success, being afraid of X, being scared of Y, and they run from it. They resist it. So it persists and it stops them from manifesting things in their life. But when you can hold space for something and reprogram it with love and gratitude, right? So reprogram with gratitude again. It's the best technique that you can possibly do. Gratitude leads to more abundance. When you're grateful for all the things in your life, when you're grateful for the water, when you're grateful for the fresh air, you're grateful for the money that you make, all that happens is you start to reprogram yet again your RAS to look for more things in alignment with that, and that just creates more abundance. And that's what we all want. Now, being afraid of success, right? All we're doing here is when we're holding emotions without judgment and we're reprogramming it with love, what we're doing is we're transmuting. Like I mentioned earlier on, I didn't really go too deep into it, but transmutation is when we turn one emotion into another emotion, one feeling into another. It's an energetic thing, okay? Transmute, and we do that all the time. We repeat that, so it's repetition. That's one thing with the subconscious mind as well, guys, is it's completely repetitional based. You need to persist with these things. Persist. Keep doing them. Just like when you were a kid, your mum probably got you up at the same time every morning for school. You probably brushed your teeth, probably had the same breakfast. Now what do you do when you get up? You probably brush your teeth roundabout. This probably takes you the same amount of time to brush your teeth now as it did from when you were a kid. Does that make sense? It's because it was repeated over time. So to your subconscious mind, that's normal. That's what you do. The last thing I want to touch on is taking action, like I mentioned before. Super important. You're not doing anything without taking action. Every day, of course. Every single day. But what I want you to do whilst taking the action is completely let go of the outcome. Let go of the outcome. And what you do when you let go of the outcome is you take away resistance. So you take away any resistance from actually hitting the outcome. Yet again, this happened to me a lot. I was always looking for clients, looking for results, looking for X, looking for Y. I've done it with my body as well, where I've just been looking in the mirror every day. But when you take action and you let go of the outcome, you remove any pressure, you remove any resistance around actually getting the outcome. Which does what? It just brings it to you a lot quicker. Believe me, I've experienced this myself. And successful people do this, but they're not even aware of it. They're so certain that they're going to achieve the outcome that they just let go of it, that they completely let go of it. And it runs to them. It runs to them quickly. Because when you let go of something, what you're doing is you're having faith. You're having faith in the divine, which yet again is conviction in your desired reality. There'll be a couple of you guys watching this that know for a fact that you're going to be a millionaire. In fact, you already believe that you're a millionaire because you've just known it from since you were X height, since you were X age. You've known forever. And conviction is super important when it comes to manifestation. It already belongs to you. You already have it. You guys already have it. As long as you have full faith, you let go of the outcome and you take action every single day, it has to happen. It's already happened. One thing that's really important to understand is the best technique is you. I've mentioned many things today. You do it, all these things that I've mentioned, and I guarantee you guys are seeing different results in your life within a week. As a fact, as an absolute fact. But the best technique is you. Have conviction and believe. Have full faith in the divine. I hope you guys enjoyed one of my first YouTube videos back after a long break. I will be doing these weekly, so stay tuned, like, comment, subscribe. It helps me out absolute tenfold, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you.